The 23rd November 2023 was the day we learned that what was supposed to be the best day of our life could turn to the worst in an instant. It all started at 3:16 in the morning. Tina lost her mucus plug, and our son Poppy was kicking with strength. It's even him that woke up Tina so that she has time to go to the toilet to lose the plug. That morning was the happiest day of our life, knowing that we will soon meet our son, that he will be with us, and that we would be able to have a natural delivery without peridural. Sadly, life had other plans, and Poppy, who has been alive and kicking more than usual lately, was suddenly really quiet during the morning, which could sometimes happen if he was too active during the night. That day we were with a friend, and one thing that was always making our son move was food. But after lunch, he wasn't kicking. So we picked all our bags and decided to go to the hospital, thinking that it was already time. There, we were right away installed in an examination room, where a baby monitoring and ecography was performed, by a first midwife, then a second, and then a gynecologist. It was around 2 p.m. Tina started realizing what was happening, but I was completely lost, and asked if everything was alright. That's when our world turned upside down, and we were told that there weren't any heartbeats nor any liquid flow, ultimately meaning that our son had passed away 3 days before his due date. Following that, we were told that stillbirth happens in 2 or 3 births out of 1,000 in France, that we are not at fault, that such thing happens, and that we cannot always understand. After a blood test, Anne, a midwife in charge, came to talk to us. She again told us all information about this type of situation, and that most of the time it is due to a clamp or an anomaly in the umbilical cord, resulting in the baby's death. She also introduced the first of many steps to come, the delivery. The recommended procedure is an induced birth with peridural, the other option being a C-section, which is unrecommended because it is much harder for the body and could result in problems in a future pregnancy. The choice was impossible to make, and she let us alone for a while. At that time, I also picked our friend from the waiting room and brought her inside to see Tina. Later, when she came back, she asked if we wanted a room, as we were in an examination room. We agreed and slowly moved to a preparation room. After some discussion, we agreed to the recommended procedure. The procedure started with 3 pills, to force the body to go into labor within 24 to 48 hours. My parents were on their way to our place to give us 1 month's bodies for Poppy, who was already supposed to be around 3.9 kg, and to whom newborn clothes would have been too small. I couldn't tell them what was happening and just told them that we were in the hospital and to come. When they arrived, they asked if Poppy was coming and if it was the D-Day for him. I had no idea how to tell them, and said that the pregnancy stopped and that Poppy had passed away. They didn't understand right away until they saw our friend and then Tina. At that moment, everybody was crying. The next decision to make was to stay in the hospital or go back home for the night. After a while, we decided to go home, thinking that we have any way to face entering home, seeing all of our son's stuff. So better getting it done. At some point, I also talked alone with Anne, that mentioned that we will also have to decide if we want an autopsy or not, and what burial or afterlife option we want. At that point, I felt like the whole world fell on my shoulders. Before leaving, we talked with an anesthesiologist to prepare us for the peridural and the procedure that awaits us, and with the maternity psychologist that told us she is available for us anytime. Finally, we also received a book made by the region with testament of parents that live this. Just looking at the book is heartbreaking. I also had to ask one more time if we should have come earlier because Poppy was kicking too strong and that it was painful for Tina in her left psoas. Anne said no, movement is a good sign and it's something that we actually want. It was around 5 p.m. when we went home with my parents. We stayed a while together, before they also went back to their place. That night we couldn't eat, but still tried to put something down to have some strength for what was yet to come. That night was the longest night we ever had. Sleepless, full of thoughts, crying our heart out. It was terrifying and the saddest night ever. I was thinking about everything I wanted to do with him, everywhere I wanted to go. I couldn't understand why this was happening. I was missing him so much. I would have given anything to switch places with him. From then, everything was one breath at a time. I remember completely falling in tears while grabbing Tina's belly, saying that he was perfect and such a good boy. When the gynecologist said that he has to turn and face down, he did it after 2 days. When he had to drop, he did it. 6 days before, we went for a final checkup and he was really fine. So, how did we arrive here? How our beloved son that we called Poppy, Poppy Pop, Poppy the Pop, our little chubby, notre petit gros, le petit potelet, will be stillborn. We played for him his morning Poppy song and evening Poppy song every day, so that he would be comforted by them once a year. I am carving for sleepless night with him, changing his diaper and have poop all over me, to fight with Tina because we are too tired. In the morning, the roller coaster continued. Tina asked my parents to come over. They had told my sister and some of their friends about our situation. Later that day, we also started announcing the situation to our friends. I undid our luggage and backpack and only made a little bag for us. When they arrived, we removed everything that belonged to Poppy. I couldn't do it before and didn't want to let go. I had to hear his overcrowded toy one last time. I hugged my stepfather and then we went on about it and removed everything from the apartment and stored it in the garage. After that, we stayed together, talking, watching TV. My sister also came. Even though I know that Poppy is gone, every time I touch Tina's belly, I hope for a kick, a move from him. Tina slowly started having contraction. At 5 p.m., we said goodbye to my family and went to the hospital. There, Anne was waiting for us. She took us into the labor room Saphir, which was the same room as we were yesterday. She told us more about what will happen and asked us about our plan. We agree on the autopsy. We wanted him cremated, so we will also have to organize it ourselves. We also discuss about holding him, which I want, but so far Tina is not sure. She wants to keep the memory of him from the last 3D photo we have, and she is afraid to damage this memory. We also discuss about names between us and agree that as he is a stillbirth baby, it's better that he keeps his nickname, so he will officially be registered as Poppy Rekia. We were then shown to our bedroom. There we discussed more with Anne, and later a doctor, the various options about induced labor. The one we went for was with the pills. You take pills every 2 hours, and once contractions are strong and frequent enough, they will induce you in the delivery room. We could have done this procedure the next morning and rested during the night, but Tina wanted to get it done. So she took a first pill a bit before 8 p.m, another one at 10 p.m, and later at 11:30 p.m. That night we actually both managed to sleep a little bit, or at least rest a bit. We were so exhausted. 11:30 p.m, we also had a checkup in the delivery preparation room. The next stage is another pill at 2 a.m. and then 5 a.m. Tina took the 2 a.m. one, but then at around 3 a.m. strong contractions started. She also lost her main water. She felt like something broke inside, and then on our way to the delivery room it all went down. It was around 3:30 p.m. One thing though that was weird is that when I woke up, I had chills, I was shaking and freezing, and Tina had the same. That time, we were brought to the delivery room, where Tina changed to the hospital robe, and where they started installing needles and wire on her. Then the anesthesiologist came to install the peridural, which took around 30 minutes or so to kick in and was much stronger on one side. At that point, we were also so grateful to Anne and Sophie, the midwife that was with us during the night and who happened to be also the one who was there on Thursday when we learned about Poppy. She even told us that she thought a lot about us and couldn't stop thinking about our situation. At around 5 am, Tina was only one finger open, so it was still gonna take some time. Tina fell asleep. When she woke up, we discussed about the situation, that it wasn't our time, that this could be protecting us from something worse, that in the end it's just an accident, and that we should cherish our time with him. There is a quote that we heard a few days before that resonated in our mind. Is it better to have had a good thing and lost it, or never to have had it? The answer was obviously to have had a good thing, and that answer came without a second thought. We discussed about the after, do our Christmas dinner, see our friend from Annecy, maybe join my family for February in their ski holiday, or go somewhere on our own, even if it felt so sad and wrong to do that without him. So now that all his stuff is stored, the apartment feels so empty. It's actually empty in our mind, as we were already imagining him. I already saw us on the couch with him, playing in front of it and later crawling there. At 6:14, the midwife came for a checkup. Tina was now open 3 cm. It's progressing nicely. She also broke the smaller water, but it was almost already all empty. At 6:45 am, the midwife put in the perfusion to speed up contraction, as Tina's natural one slowed down. She also told us goodbye, as her shift was ending. The midwife that was now with us was Fabienne. She already knew Tina, as they did hypnobirthing together to prepare for the delivery. It was so comforting to know that it was her and reassured a lot Tina. They talked a bit together, as Fabienne knew Tina's original plan. She comforted us and told us again that we have to be ready not to know the reason that this is happening, and that we will have to be with him and accompanying him until the end, that Poppy needs it. But we will go step by step because Tina mentioned not wanting to see him, but let's wait for that. A friend of ours came by the hospital. As Tina was asleep and only 3 cm open, I went out for around 40 minutes and also took the opportunity to call the funeral home and got an appointment next Monday by 10 am. It felt good talking to our friend, and it actually gave me a lot of things to talk to Tina to change her mind when I came back to her as the labor was starting. Tina just had a big contraction. It was around 9:15 am. The midwife got everything ready and the labor officially started around 9:30. Everything went super fine, and within 30 minutes our son was outside. He even started going out on its own. It truly was the perfect little one and did everything right until the end. And soon we will be able to see him, and where we were still hoping to hear him crying. They showed us the placenta that went out immediately after him, and then they started sewing Tina that only had a minor tearing. However, after that there were some bleeding, so I was asked to go out in the waiting room while they checked that the placenta went out completely. Fabienne came to pick me up. She told me that Tina decided to see Poppy, who was an handsome little boy. And she was 100% right.
Oi, 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 you are so beautiful. Oh, so handsome.
For the next 3 to 4 hours, we were only with him. they let us keep the delivery room and created a cocoon around us. She first brought him around towels. It was amazing being able to hold him. When we wanted to change who was holding him, she would help us. She also recommended not to use too much light in the room. Poppy was so warm and so beautiful. At that point, it is needless to say that we were all crying and that it was super emotional. They also told us that Poppy was 3.790 kg for approximately 51 cm. They also told us that the reason for its death was most probably due to the umbilical cord that got stuck around his leg, and that at some point the flow in it stopped cause it got pinched. It would have been impossible to notice or know beforehand. They also said that he was a tall and thin baby, not chubby at all and really beautiful. That we will be able to take picture of him as he is beautiful. Hey, I wish we could just stay here forever. It's just...
We were not ready for this and we went through.
It feels just normal, you know. Here it's, it's just like normal. He's sleeping, you're carrying and just drinking water. I'm just here recording, like everything should have been.
Just perfect. Because otherwise he would just breastfeed.
Ah yeah, he would have gotten his first
milk and me water in plasma.
His first little poop on you. Also, the epidural somehow stopped, and Tina felt everything, which she said was really great. She could feel his head, arms, body. And it was actually harder to push his legs out than its head. During all of that, Tina was really brave, and her body acted well, and Poppy too, as he was in the perfect position. We were able to create what should have been normal with him. It was like he was sleeping. For us, he was our whole world. We talked to him, told him how much we loved him, everything we had planned for him. We played his morning and evening song, sang a lullaby. It felt just normal in a not normal situation. It was happiness in sadness. During that time, the midwife also brought us a piece of paper with his feet on it. We asked if we could also get the hands, and later if we could do a plaster frame of his hands and feet, and they agreed. And so my parents went to buy the material and brought it to us. They also came with my aunt and my sister to the hospital. Before changing Poppy to put on his clothes, they disconnected Tina from all the machines. I brought along what was going to be his out-of-hospital outfit. He has to go install our little Poppy Pop. Poppy.
I'm so tired. You are quite heavy, but
3.79 kilogram.
And 51
centimeters. Yeah, approximately. He's super thin actually. He's not chubby, nothing, yeah. We have traveled the world, Poppy. We had a lot of plans. There were already at least 5 different countries where you should have lived. Just brought this one for the end.
Hello, Poppy. Or Poppy Pop. Open mouth. A little nose.
Then spent some time with him and his little clothes on. It was so great, and we wished that moment would have never stopped. It was a weird feeling to describe, because we had a mix of happiness and true sadness. But we so enjoyed seeing him and having 2 more hours with him wearing his clothes. We could have kissed him without end, even if now he was colder.
It's so soft. His little hands, so cute. His little body, so cute. His voice so soft, you tell. And little.
Talking goodbye here.
If you want to move now, it's a good time.
I don't know why. It was.
So cute.
Our case being exceptional, the midwife allowed things that aren't usually accepted. We never should have stayed that long in the delivery room. And they also allowed my parents and sister to meet Poppy in the same delivery room instead of the morgue.
Transféré le HTS. Avec une trop grosse tête.
Ouais, maintenant ça.
On a gardé lui.
Around 4:30 p.m., we took another half an hour to say our goodbyes to Poppy. Kiss him one more time, smell him one last time.
Just leave a bit his
We
head
then
out,
told
so you can stay.
the midwife we were ready and head to our room. She told us that we can still see him this weekend, but it will be in the morgue, so she wouldn't recommend it.
So he's hot.
Leaving him was the hardest thing we ever did, and we would have loved for time to stop, if only that would be possible. When we arrived in our room, my family and even my best friend were there for us. The midwife wasn't too happy about it because Tina has to rest now. We chat a bit with everyone and then they left. We then had dinner, Tina took a medicine to stop the milk from coming and we rested. In our situation, we did the best we could, and in the end we are happy to have had 9 beautiful months and at least do 6 hours with him. That felt like normal. Our boy wasn't chubby in the end, he was thin and handsome. He had lots of Tina's features, and he was looking exactly like her. Apart from the mouth, that was my mouth, and it's exactly what made him handsome. We also saw Sophie again, that came back to check on Tina and discuss a bit with us about the day. I also went to see the maternity frame as I asked if they could put its little name on it. Tina was too tired, so she saw it the next morning. One thing we are truly grateful for is the staff in the hospital. Fabienne, Sophie and Anne were amazing, and in the worst of the situation, they made the best they could for us. But also to all our friends and family that were with us during this tragedy. That first night went okay, I suppose, until 6 am, time at which I heard Tina crying. I went to her and we both cried, missing our son. I also had moments during the night where I wanted to start crying, but I focused on the happy memories of him I had, and how handsome he was. Later that morning, we put some music and we sat together in bed watching pictures of him, as well as some of the video we took. Again later this morning, we saw Sophie, another midwife and then a gynecologist. We then went together to see his little name on the maternity board. Some little things can have big meaning in such situation. As we thought, we are actually in a room not directly within the maternity, but on the side of it, in order not to hear other baby crying. That hospital was really thoughtful. Around noon, we decided that we preferred going home, as it will be more comfortable, and we could invite family and friends. It was really hard to go out of the hospital without Poppy, as well as knowing that his little body was still there. We then spent the afternoon with my parents, sister and some friends. And that was the end of the birth of our first son, Poppy.